If you're 30 something and you're thinking about starting a new business, definitely pay attention to this, because I don't want you to make the mistake of launching a business the way a 20 something would, because if you can believe it, there's actually a lot of advantages that you have being just a touch older, right? In our 30s, we're just a bit older. So if you want to know the best way to successfully start a new business in your 30s versus in your 20s, you're in luck, because we're gonna get into it right now. Hey, CourtneyLSanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time 7-figure certified online life and business coach, as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things, and I've been wearing all the hats and doing all the things for a very long time. In fact, I've been an entrepreneur for basically a decade now. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 7 years, but I started my business well before I was able to go full-time in my business, and I've been dabbling in entrepreneurship since I was 19 years old. So your girl has really spanned the decades, I think I can say, when it comes to being an entrepreneur and successfully starting a business. And I was just really thinking about this because in many respects, I'm kind of starting a new business. I am starting a new business. As I'm recording this, I actually just had a meeting with my brand new team. I've hired 6 people to help me launch this brand new business that I have, where we do done for you work. So for a really long time, I would get clients who would come to me and they would be like, look, I don't want coaching on how to market my business or, how to build my personal brand. Like, can you just do it for me, right? I have more money than time, right? Oftentimes I get a lot of entrepreneurs who are very successful in like brick and mortar style businesses, but they really want to get online. They want to package their information into a course. They want to sell it. They want to do social media, but they're like, I have no time to do any of that. I don't ever want to touch my social media. I just want to do this course and then have you like run everything for me. And for a long time I would say no, because I'm like, that's not what I do. I run a coaching organization. And even now, I have now this coaching certification. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. But I got so many requests. I said, you know what? I am going to do that. I'm just going to do it in a different business. So if that's something that's of interest to you, I will put the wait list in the link below. We're currently in beta. We're working with beta clients. So I don't want to take on a bunch of clients until I know that we have our processes in place. But anyway, I was interviewing my new team who was working with me to launch that business. And I was like, oh man, I am launching a new business in my 30s, right? This coaching business that I've had for a long time, I launched this in my 20s. And so I can really speak to the differences of what it looks like to not only run a business in your 30s versus in your 20s, because that's different too, but launching a new business in your 30s versus your 20s. And I noticed that there's things that I'm doing differently now that I definitely didn't do when I was first getting started in my 20s. And so if you're a 30 something and you're thinking about starting a new business, definitely pay attention to this, because I don't want you to make the mistake of launching a business the way a 20 something would, because if you can believe it, there's actually a lot of advantages that you have being just a touch older, right? In our 30s, we're just a bit older, not too much older, but there's a lot of advantages that you have at this stage in your life that you might not know to take advantage of if you're trying to follow all the models that you see all these entrepreneurial 20 somethings doing, right? So if you want to know the best way to successfully start a new business in your 30s versus in your 20s, you're in luck, because we're going to get into it right now. All right, the first thing that I noticed about 30-something startup Courtney versus 20-something startup Courtney is 30-something startup Courtney knew from the very beginning, do not try to do everything yourself, right? When I first started my coaching business in my 20s, I was everything, right? I was CEO, I was customer service, I was the chief bottle washer. I did everything in my business. But I will say, quickly enough in my business, I started hiring. So I had my first 2 virtual assistants. I first hired someone to help me answer emails. I was getting a lot of like customer service emails while I was at work, because I was building my business on the side and I was selling a lot of digital products. And I would get emails from customers who just bought something from me and they're like, oh, I can't find my password, or how do I log into the membership area? So I hired someone who can field those questions while I was at work. But in the course of that, I discovered that she was really good at graphic design. So I ended up making her like my full-time graphic designer. And then I hired another customer service person to then field those emails. So I was paying 2 virtual assistants before I was even paying myself and before I was even working full-time in my business. So I will give my 20-something self credit that even back then I knew that you basically can't do everything alone. But I bring this up because I find a lot of 30-somethings, when they are first launching their business, they try to do it the 20-something way, thinking that they're going to do everything themselves from the ground up. And while certainly you can do this, you can do everything yourself if you're in your 70s or in your 80s or whatever. Like, age isn't necessarily a barrier to whether you do everything yourself or not. But I bring this up because oftentimes when you're in your 20s, 20s, again, you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of go, go, go. You have way more time than money oftentimes. And so I find that our default in our 20s is like, oh, I'm gonna have to make this happen. I'm gonna have to bootstrap this. I'm gonna have to do everything myself. And so I like to just kind of put a little pause here for my 30 somethings just to say, you don't have to do it that way, right? Like you can if you want to, but oftentimes in our 30s, we have far more responsibilities, right? I remember when I was first starting my business, really in my early 20s, it was just me, right? I was dating my now husband, then boyfriend at the time, but we didn't have kids. We weren't living together. I was in school. I had like all the time in the world to basically just do what I wanted to do. So if I wanted to stay up, you know, nights on end, working on my blog or creating different things or being, you know, very creative and just kind of making everything myself, I had the energy to do that. I had the time to do that. I had the free space, you know, in my mind and life because I really didn't have any responsibilities. And, you know, I don't have that now. Like I can say that honestly. I have 2 young kids that I'm raising. I'm married. I have, you know, not just my family, but my in-laws now. There's always something going on, and just the mental space to just be in something and work on your business for 16 hours is just not there, right? Definitely not there for me. And I know for many 30 somethings, that is going to be the case as well. And so if you've ever thought, oh, these 20 somethings have an advantage over me because they have all the time and energy in the world to work on their business and I don't, understand that they don't have an advantage per se if you decide from the outset that you are going to hire, right? And it might not even be a formal hire. It might be what I did initially, which is working with virtual assistants or just working with contractors. And I say you have an advantage in your 30s because even though you have more responsibilities in your 30s, typically you have more experience delegating in some capacity or operating in some leadership capacity, right? Most of us in our 30s, if we've been in our career for any amount of time, maybe we're now a senior supervisor or we're in a management role, or even again, maybe we're just parents now, or even if we're not parents, maybe we are, you know, the auntie or uncle to our nieces and nephews. And so we kind of, you know, have a little wisdom on us and we know what it's like to kind of guide someone on what they should be able to do. So we have a level of authority that maybe we wouldn't have had in our 20s, and we have some experience being a bit managerial. And so you can take that natural experience, whether you did it formally in a role, say at work, or maybe just informally in your family, and start to use those managerial skills that we typically develop with age by delegating tasks and working with others. All right, now the next advantage that you have in your 30s, and I would particularly look at it this way, is oftentimes you are better able to take advantage of credit. Now, I've been talking about this more on this channel because I feel like this is such an untapped, like amazing thing that people don't realize that they have access to, especially if you live in the US, because I feel like the US is like the credit capital. Like it is so easy to get credit to start your business here in the US compared to other countries, right? I can say this, not only having traveled, but having done business in a whole different country, it is far easier to get credit, even if you're just getting started in your business, to start a business than it is in other countries. And it's typically easier in your 30s because you have more credit built. And so again, this is where that advantage comes in. Many 30-year-olds sometimes can kind of get in this woe is me, oh, I wish I would have started this, you know, 10 years ago when I was in my 20s, thinking that all the advantages were to be had then, but you do have some advantages now. Again, if you're in your 30s, there's a good chance that you've lived in multiple apartments, right? You've had multiple cell phone bills in your name, right? Maybe you have a car note, maybe you have a mortgage now, right? Like, again, you've been working for a long time, you have more money at your disposal, you should have a more robust credit profile built. And I understand that not everybody in their 30s has good credit, but here's the thing. One, you can always clean up your credit. And cleaning up your credit is certainly outside of the scope of this video. I am not a credit repair expert, but I do know that if you have a robust credit history, even if there's some cleaning up to do, some bills you need to pay, some kind of things that you need to fix, again, just the history and the length of your credit is gonna work to your advantage versus if you were doing this in your 20s when you might not have a robust credit profile built. I know in my 20s, the only things that I had were credit cards and they were maxed out, which wasn't good, right? But in your 30s, again, car notes, mortgages, and not just one or two, but multiples, right? What am I? Right now I'm on my 4th car, right? In my 30s, I'm on my 4th car. So someone can look at my credit history and see how I've borrowed and successfully paid off things, even just with vehicles, over the course of 4 different lines of credit that have been extended to me. And so because you have a robust credit profile, you can then often go into a bank. Again, even if your business hasn't made $1 yet, you have no business history, this is a brand new LLC that you've started, as long as your credit is decent, right? So go clean up your credit if you need to do that. But as long as your credit is decent, and again, you tend to have a more robust credit profile than you do than when you're in your 20s, oftentimes banks will extend you, I'll say at the very least, like 10 to 20K when you're first getting started. Obviously, the better your credit is, the more you're likely going to be extended to that. I just shared this with a friend, and her bank, I think, gave her a credit card for $7,500. Again, no business revenue really, like not a big business history. Her credit was decent. They're like, here you go, business credit card, $7,500. Live your life, right? There's certain credit unions. Oftentimes you can get better deals, especially if you've been banking with a credit union for a long time, or even just a bank that you've been dealing with for a long time. All they're gonna wanna know is what's your social security number, what's your EIN number, right? Which is associated with your business. And in fact, if you wanna know how to set up your coaching business and particularly legally, right? All the steps that you need to do in order to do that, because as I'm talking about EIN numbers, I'm like, I went over this in a different video. You can go ahead and check that out here. But basically, once you have your paperwork in order and you have your EIN and your social security number, if you have decent credit, you can go to most banks in the United States, even most credit card companies, right? And they will extend you, give or take 10 grand, maybe 7,500 if you're super, super new, sometimes 15,000, 20,000, like you can get a little bit of money to start with. And again, that is to your advantage. It kind of goes back to the first advantage I was saying, you don't have to bootstrap everything. Like you can borrow money for your business, and why wouldn't you? Because if you're gonna get started, this helps you get started faster, and then you can pay off that credit or pay it down as you are growing your business, as you are attracting clients, and you move so much faster. And then on top of that, especially if you get the business credit cards, you get so many benefits. In fact, I actually just did a vlog for a business trip that I went on in Los Angeles, and so many of the perks that I displayed in that vlog came to me because of my business credit card. I did a lot of that stuff on points. So I also have videos on this channel about how to leverage credit card points for international travel and to do amazing things, but you'll definitely want to get that started, and it's easier to start in your 30s. All right, the next thing to keep in mind if you're starting a business in your 30s is that you can really go after a product that is higher price. Now hear me, if you are starting a business in your 20s, you too can go after a product that is higher price. But I noticed that a lot of 20-year-olds have a lot of insecurity and imposter syndrome around charging high prices because they feel like they don't have the experience, they don't have the gravitas, the credibility. They're like, oh, how can I tell a client to pay me this much money when I'm just like, I feel like this little kid in the room, like who's gonna pay me that, right? Now, you can overcome that. And I know this because I started my coaching business in my 20s, and I had clients who were in their 30s and their 40s who were paying me 5, 10, and ultimately 20K to work with me, right? But I will say in my 30s, I feel a lot more confident charging those prices and beyond now. And again, part of it just comes with like, you're in your 30s, right? You feel more adult. It feels more like I'm a grown up, you're a grown up. Here's what we're doing, here's how much it's gonna cost, right? There's just a natural, like, less back and forth where when you're in your 20s, sometimes that insecurity shows up on your face, and it's sometimes difficult to sell higher numbers, again, until you get used to it and you're able to display that level of confidence and gravitas despite your young age. So I would definitely say if you are starting a business in your 30s, don't be like many of the 20-year-olds who try to start low ticket businesses out of the gate, right? They're like, oh, I'm gonna start a t-shirt business, or I'm gonna start this like ebook business. I'm gonna sell these $20 ebooks. The volume that you would have to sell in order to make that worthwhile is very, very difficult. And again, in your 30s, we got bills, man, right? We have responsibilities. You have a whole mortgage, maybe private school, health insurance, like all these different things that you have to pay for that maybe you would not be thinking about if you were in your 20s. You need to make sure that your business can support all of that. And so oftentimes it's a lot easier if you go for higher value products that you can charge more for, because then you're able to generate a higher revenue and you're able to really support yourself at the level that you probably need to now that you are in your 30s. So don't be scared to charge more, and don't be scared to really go after creating a business that is centered around higher price and higher ticket items. All right, I have more where that came from, but first I want to hear from you. What age are you starting your business in? Are you in your 20s? Are you in your 30s, 40s, 50s? Share in the comments below. All All right, the next thing you'll want to keep in mind when you are starting a business in your 30s versus in your 20s is you want to make sure that you are really, really paying attention to the business model, right? So it's not just, is this a profitable idea? Is this product something that people want? You want to make sure that the way that you operate that business is going to be conducive with your lifestyle. Again, this is something that I see a lot of 20-year-olds don't think about because it's just them. They don't have a lot of responsibilities. They may not have started a family yet. And so it's just like, oh, I just need to do whatever it takes in order to get this money in the door so I can quit my job or whatever. And oftentimes they will engage in business models that require them to be up all night packing boxes or to be on back-to-back calls, or they don't care. Again, they have the stamina for it. They don't have a lot of family responsibilities. And it's like, I'm just out here getting this done. Again, many 30-year-olds who are starting their business will try to start businesses in a similar way. And it's like, you got to pay attention to that business model, especially if you're a woman business owner in your 30s, right? Because many of us are mothers. Again, many of us are shouldering the burden in terms of maybe looking after aging parents, or, all the, most of the child rearing responsibilities, it tends to fall on the mother, right? And so it's outside of the scope of this video to talk about whether that's right or wrong, or, how we have more equal, equivalent partnerships. Like, I'm all for it, okay? But trust me, ask any woman in her 30s, right? Those kids, when they get sick, when they fall down, when they get a boo-boo or a cut on their knee, they're typically running to mama. It just is the way it is. So as women especially, we have to be very, very mindful that we are starting businesses that have business models that are conducive with the type of lifestyle that we want to live. And especially if you want to be present, right? You want to be present for your family. You want to do different things. Yes, you want to start a business that's going to allow you to generate a lot of revenue, but don't do it, at the expense of all the other things that are important to you in your life. So keep that in mind. All right, the next thing to keep in mind, and I do think that this is an advantage of starting a business in your 30s or even in your 40s, is oftentimes entrepreneurs in their 20s will exclusively go after the B2C market, meaning business to consumer, right? They're starting t-shirt businesses or even in their coaching businesses. And again, I did this, starting my coaching business. It's just like, oh, how do I get individual clients? How do I work with people as individuals? But entrepreneurs forget that there's a whole B2B and a whole B2G world out there. What do I mean by this? There's B2Business, right? So you can sell your services to corporations, and there's B2Government, right? B2G, you can sell your services to governments in the form of responding to various RFPs or government tenders that are coming out. And so are you unable to do this in your 20s? No, of course not. You could totally sell to corporate, or you could totally, get a government contract in your 20s. I'm just saying many 20-year-olds don't, right? Many 20-year-olds don't because they're not focused on that. Again, they're trying to start these like hot hip social media based businesses where they're going to really focus on getting individual clients that are consumers, but oftentimes they don't have the resume, right? And they don't have the experience that would really qualify them for getting some of these corporate and government contracts. And so I am starting to come into this realization, right? Me running my business again full-time for 7 years, being an entrepreneur for over a decade now, your girl has built a bit of a resume. I have credentials now, right? I'm a certified life coach. I have my MBA. I have my own coaching methodology. I've spoken at the White House. I've spoken at the UN. Like, there's all these accolades and credentials that I have amassed over my career, which I'm now noticing is kind of qualifying me to start to take the expertise that I have and that I've been doing in the B2C market and start to offer that in the B2B market and the B2G market. And I've discovered this really on accident. I will speak with people who oftentimes are clients of mine individually, and they'll say, you know what, I work for XYZ Corporation, and in our HR meeting, we were just having a discussion around training that we wanted to do. And I don't know if you do this training for corporate, but I think it would be really amazing if you come in and share what you just shared with me, to our team of leaders. And again, now I kind of have the gravitas, the experience, right? I have a little more oomph to my business now that allows me to be able to do that. And so even if you were just starting your business, again, think back to your entire career. You've been doing something, right, since you graduated from college. So it's not like you haven't done anything. Look at all of your experience and start to ask yourself, you know what, do I have to go B2C to get started? And there's nothing wrong with going B2C, but don't forget, you can also go B2G or you can go B2B, right? Don't sleep on government contracts and don't sleep on working with corporate America. All right, I hope this was helpful to you if you are an entrepreneur in your 30s. And if you want to go down a similar path that I did and really invest in creating a coaching business, I highly recommend that you sign up for my CLS Coaching Certification. The CLS stand for my initials, sort of, but it really stands for Coach of Life Success, because that is a designation information that you will walk away with once you are through with this certification. Again, a certification, this is something that you can use where you can sell it not just to individuals, but you can start to sell your expertise to corporate America and to governments. And you can do this because you not only walk away with an accredited coaching certification. Yes, my coaching program is accredited, but we also teach you how to come up with your own coaching methodology. And we even teach you how to come up with your niche and how to package it and how to promote it. So if that's something that sounds like of interest to you, go ahead and click the link below to apply. And if accepted, you'll be invited to a call with my enrollment team. And from there, they will walk you through the entire process. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you can't wait for my next video, make sure you're subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait for my next podcast or my next YouTube video, make sure you're following me on either Instagram or TikTok. My username is CourtneyLSanders on both, and I only have one account on both, right? So don't follow any scammers. Follow me, CourtneyLSanders, my only accounts on both Instagram and TikTok. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.